Hi there, my name's Benjamin Lavender. I'm the Technical Director at Kinetic Games.
Hi, my name's Daniel Knight and I'm the CEO and lead developer at Kinetic Games.
You guys are rapidly approaching your 1.0 official release out of early access. What's this journey been like, especially since your game's been so long in early access?
Yeah, it's been crazy, to be honest. Dan can probably. It's probably good to talk to you first, to be fair, the original creator.
Yeah, obviously it originally started as just myself. We've grown massively since then. We're now up to 27 people, and the game has grown so much over time, and we've got still so much more planned leading up to 1.0. And it's been a long journey, but yeah, we love all of it.
How did you grow your game so quickly?
When the Phasmophobia first released, I still tried to stay as a solo developer, but it was just there's just far too much for me to do. So about 9 months later, I hired Ben and our art director, Corey. Then it was 3 of us for a while, and then about a year later, we hired 2 other people. And then we really stuck as 5 people for a long time, until about 12 months ago, we were leading up to our console release, and then it was just so much more work for us, so we just had to grow, and now we're at 27 people, and we're still growing now, we're still going to get probably quite a bit bigger.
It's been a really good move though, I think, because while we were a team of 5 people, we kind of had to choose between, do we want to make new content, do we want to fix bugs that have been outstanding for a while, do we want to do some quality of life stuff, and having to make that decision was quite difficult on our players sometimes. So now that we are the size that we are, and you'll see that with the next update that comes out on the 24th of June, just how much we can do now, so we can do the live bug fixes and loads of quality of life things and new features at the same time, which is awesome.
Yeah. There were a lot of routes you could have taken. There's early access, crowdfunding, you could have sat and tried to find a publisher for God knows how long. So why did you guys, your team or you, decide on early access was the right call?
I was already working on the game for 5 years before it released, so it kind of just got to a point where I just needed to get it out. But early access allows you to change the game, and like we've been doing over the past 5 years, we've been overhauling everything, reworking everything, and I think with a fully released game, we can't really do that. I think there's kind of an expectation there to kind of leave it as it is, and we've still got so much more planned for the game. And the reason why not to go with a publisher and things like that was I just want to maintain control and be completely self-funded and things like that. So we just set our own milestones, so we're in control of everything. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way we could have gone about it.
Talk about what the challenges were putting on console, because on Steam, you can update whenever. There's a lot more room. You don't have to run through QC, when you submit for approvals, that kind of stuff. What was that process like? Did you guys do the ports internally, or did you have to hire a third party?
We started doing the port internally originally, but we just kind of found out that it was just far too much for us to do. So
it wasn't just a button you press and it pops out an Xbox version?
Absolutely not.
There's a lot more involved with it. So we ended up getting Unity to help us with the port, and as well as Keywords Studios for a lot of other outsourcing stuff. And I think in total, outside of our company, there was 75 people that was working on it. Yep. So we had massive support there, and we were just kind of managing all of that.
Is it difficult when you're running a game that you have full control of yourself to maintain that sense of scope and not go too large, or essentially get overwhelmed, or before you know it, you have a team of 120 people and you're planning seasonal pass and DLC? Is it hard keeping your sense of scale to be manageable?
Yeah, I think the main goal for us is just to make a game that we want to play, want to make it as fun as possible, and very manageable for us as well. We want to still stay as a small team. We're just hiring in the right areas and not just hiring just so that we can do a lot more.
Yeah, and we've hired in the right places. I think we've hired kind of our core team first. So we've made sure we've got the key people in the right places that know kind of exactly what they need to do, exactly how we're going to get to 1.0. And from that, we've kind of hired the sort of top down, I guess, so that we've got senior positions in place before we hire mid positions or junior positions, for example. And kind of scaling along with that, it means our processes have changed quite a lot since we were just a team of 5. It was more just vocal, hey, can we do this? Let's do this, sure, why not? Yeah. But now there's a lot more communication involved. It's still quite flat. We don't have to get 10 things approved by 10 different people before we get things approved. It's still quite quick, which is nice. But it's been a great journey so far, hasn't it? So.
Yeah, and we've hired a producer to help us kind of manage all of that, and we've got our own internal QA team as well, and we're trying to do as much as we can internally.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your community that plays the game on Steam? How has their feedback been in the development of the game?
Yeah, we have so many players, so we get constant feedback all the time.
Yeah.
And we do kind of reach out to the community to get their feedback. So when we do an update every month, we'll do a feedback channel in our Discord, and we'll just it helps us get an idea of the top issues, or what people liked, what they didn't like, and we do take that on board. We do have our own vision for the game that we want to stick to, but there are a few kind of bits here and there that we can just take the player feedback on board and make changes.
Another reason why early access is great. We can do things like that.
Is your team like? Are you guys like the Supernatural? Are you guys into it? Are you guys just horror fans? Like, how did the game like come about? You just enjoy that stuff, or?
I don't actually play horror games. I'm not sure why I ended up making one, but yeah, I watch a lot of horror films, TV series, and all that. Maybe not so much on the game side, but I mostly just wanted to make a social co-op horror puzzle, and yeah, Gus and we just ended up being the perfect fit.
Now, talk about like you have the van mechanic where if people don't want to go and get scared, they can sit and kind of be the operator. Talk about how that idea came about.
I think one of the best levels in any horror game was in Amnesia. So in Amnesia, there's like so you're under this huge like tension like the whole game. Then there's this one level where I think it's called like the fountain level or something, where you're just completely safe and it's playing this like really like nice charming music. And so I try to take that idea of like a tension break and try to add it into the game. So outside the map is completely safe, and we also want to make the game playable for as many types of players as possible. So if people don't want to experience the horror, they can just stay outside and help the team still.
Yeah, I think that's with our Chronicle update, we've added a lot more for our van dwellers or van princesses, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, a lot of people like to experience the horror from like a slight step back, whether that's just watching content on YouTube but might never play the game, or people that in this case, yeah, want to just stay in the truck, still be able to help out with the investigation. And yeah, we've hopefully managed to improve what they can do and help out everyone else.
What's a big misconception from like a consumer looking at game development? Maybe they play a lot of games, but they've never made one and know nothing about it. Like, what's a big misconception you think from that end about your jobs and your game?
I think it's a really big learning curve to start with, because I think you look at a video game and you think, wow, there's so many things going on, like it looks really pretty, like how would I even go about making this? I think as soon as you start doing the research and you look into a game engine, for example, like I always recommend to people all the time, if you just go onto like the Unity Learn pathways, they break things down really, really easily, and it kind of shows you the core of like, how do I make something move, how do I like make it so that I can't walk through something, and how does all these like custom things fit together. And I think once you've got that core understanding of how basic video games work at their core, then from there, that's when the ideas are like, oh, okay, so that's how that works. Now, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do this, and then the dots start connecting, and then that's when the real creativity starts, I think.
Yeah, and I think also just that there's so much involved in making a game. We can't just like quickly make a change and just push it live. Like there's a huge amount of QA and testing and
Yes.
internal like, iteration and things like that. And it's just, like a small change could end up being like weeks worth of work.
Yes. But fail quickly. If you're gonna try and make a game, make mistakes soon and early as possible, because then you'll learn from them quickly and make something good in the end.
I think that's what the early access opens up for you. If anyone complains something's not working, you tap the sign. You know, your early access. You know.
Yeah, and I think a common like misconception about the game is that we're a live service game, which we are not. we do have some live service features in there, but we really want to kind of stay away from that. And we just kind of use these like live service features, like our seasonal events, to kind of fill the gaps in between updates. But we really don't want to kind of fall into that like live service like trap.
Yes.
What advice would you give to someone who's maybe like in high school, maybe trying to make their own game right now, and watching your success and seeing you grow as a team and as a game and getting a console release, which is a big deal, right? Like, what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into game dev?
The biggest thing is just to stick with it. Like, I made loads of like smaller games before Phasmophobia. It wasn't like just definitely my first big game to make, but I made loads of like small like mobile games in like my free time and things like that. But I think, yeah, just stick with it. And I think people know that they don't have to go to like university and things like that to learn. Like I didn't go to university. I just completely like self-taught myself through like YouTube tutorials and online courses. And yeah, it's definitely something that's like, it's definitely a career that's possible for anyone. You just got to stick with it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you've said. I think it's what I've seen a lot in other people and even myself in the past is you think of a really, really cool idea, and you know you get to work and you start making things and you get really excited and you're making this thing, and then after maybe like a week, maybe a month, you're getting to the bits where you're refining everything, and the last 10% is like another 90% because of all the refining you have to do, and that's usually the part that I think a lot of people struggle with, is to get it over the line. So if you're like looking for a job in industry, for example, I highly recommend like finishing a project is a lot more valuable than having like 20 unfinished projects, because it just shows that you've got that kind of commitment and dedication and you know how to like release something. That's really important.
What games did you guys play growing up up that set you on the path to game dev?
Well, that's a big question. I mean,
only get one.
Halo, when I was a kid, like original like Xbox, was it like GoldenEye on the N64, that kind of thing in the very early days. And then, yeah, I think horror-wise, like Outlast is really big.
Oh, that was great.
Outlast is amazing,
Great,
like the
yeah.
way they do the horror, and I think it's kind of similar to our game in a sense that you can't really fight back, you kind of just have to run and hide, which I love. Really gives you a sense of like helplessness, which is nice. Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest impact horror-wise for me.
I'm not sure about horror, but I think the biggest thing game-wise for me was Halo 3.
Yeah.
I played thousands and thousands of hours on that game, but it had Forge mode, and you could just create your own maps, create your own custom games, and I used to just do that all the time and get my friends to play. I used to like kind of create these like game modes and maps and things for everyone to play, and that was basically like all my time spent was just Forge, making new maps, making new games, and I just absolutely loved it.
To be fair, that's probably weirdly like a gateway into games industry. I know it's a very gamified way of building an environment, but it's still very similar to environment in what we do today.
Do you know how many people got in game dev, like these big names that started in like map modding in like Duke 3D, right? Or in Halo, or in like, Unreal, or, Source. Like they were just map editors making maps for fun. Like so many people started that way.
Yeah, and I think there's another big game like that was Garry's Mod.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Loads of big games like got created purely through mods on that. Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of games out there that you can kind of use it to, it's like a gateway into game dev.
And then when can people experience this next update? You guys have a release date?
Chronicle we have June 24th, and
Grafton is shortly afterwards,
Sometime in the future.
sometime in the future, and yeah, that's kind of all the specific dates we've got
this year, yeah.
this year. Yeah.
Now you guys are planning console releases, and I have to ask. I'm asking everybody. Any plans for Nintendo Switch 2?
Definitely looking at other platforms. Like we want to get the game into as many hands as possible, but yeah, I think if we have anything to say on that, we'll just do it at the right time.
In the future, anything is possible.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
right.